We are recording. All right. Everybody say hi to seventh period. All right. Thank you, Milan. All right, screen record. We're starting there. All right, so we are going to be starting on a mood response for the lottery. And next week, this is going to be the same format of your CFA. I'm going to give you a short story, and I'm going to ask you to explain what it is within the connotation or denotation of a specific word or phrase that supports whatever mood that you choose. Okay, so we're going to do a model today with the lottery. Before we do that, though, I just asked you about race that you remember from elementary school. We do braces. So the B stands for background information, R, restate the question, A, answer the question, C, cite the text, E, explain the evidence, and then S, summarize your ideas again. So that is the basis of what braces stands for. Notice the colors. The background information is in purple, the restate and answer and summarize are in green, the evidence is in red, and the explanation of the evidence is in blue. We color code our responses as well. So as I'm asking you for a well-developed paragraph, that means I want a paragraph with 2 pieces of text evidence. So you're going to have those things in braces, but you're just going to have the C and E twice. Does that make sense? When we get into more like well-developed responses where I'm looking for multi-paragraphs, we are going to break those up and kind of chunk them into more of the claim and the CE part of that. Come on.
Could we possibly have to make a text that's background information, restate the question, answer the text, cite the text, explain the evidence, 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 cite the text.
So you're asking if I want 16,000 pieces of evidence?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Seventh period, that's going to be a no. Okay. So as we're organizing this, I'm going to ask you, again, in a well-developed paragraph. So I'm looking for you to answer the question about mood with 2 pieces of evidence, and then you explain. Explain the connotation, denotation of a specific word or phrase. Again, we've been talking about shades of meaning and how that specific word choice leads to mood. Use specific evidence to analyze how the word or phrase's meaning or usage develops that mood. So my background information is going to be a 1-sentence summary of the text. What's it called? Who is it by? What is the main point of the story? Restate the question. Use the specific words and phrases to develop a whatever mood you choose. Okay? The R and the A usually goes together. You don't have to have them in separate sentences. Give an example, explain the evidence, give an example, explain the evidence, and then summarize your ideas related to the word choice you chose and the mood that you selected. So I'm going to be working with my background information, the lottery, Shirley Jackson, small town sacrifice. That is the basic nuts and bolts of what the lottery was about. Yes? Oh, it says Scarface. I'll fix that. Thank you. Restate the question, specific words and phrases to develop and I'm going to go with unsettling mood because the mood of the lottery is a little unsettling. I'm going to use this text, clear and sunny, with a fresh warmth of a full summer day. Now, is that technically unsettling? No. But does it set us up for the unsettling later? Sure does. So I'm focusing on the specific connotation of the word. So remember, I'm asking you to explain connotation, denotation, whichever, of a specific word or phrase. I'm going with the phrase, fresh warmth. Fresh warmth to me has a specific connotation of comforting, the fresh warmth of a full summer day. I feel warm and I feel the breeze and you smell the flowers. It's kind of like something similar to getting a blanket out of the dryer. It just blankets you in that really fresh warmth, right? That's the connotation of that phrase. Grinned at one another humorlessly and nervously, and then holds her breath while her husband went forward. So later on in the story, when we start getting into that unsettling mood, we see the characters begin to anticipate the lottery. They begin to have a little bit of internal panic. They're so nervous that they forget to breathe. So explaining the meaning or the usage of that on the mood. And then summarizing the fact that this comforting language in the beginning versus that horrific twist at the end. So I would freeze this. Oh, no, I can still do that. I'll freeze this on the board for us, and they'll just see it on the screen. Yay. So what I'm going to do is, notice how I don't really have any full sentences except for my text evidence. And even that's part of the text evidence. When I'm organizing using the braces, I'm just quick jotting my ideas and getting a basic framework so that when I get to writing, I can play and move things around as I would like to. So I am going to keep that in the board, and then I'm going to start writing something. So, not meeting notes, but thank you. All right, so I'm going to start off with in Shirley Jackson's, Shirley Jackson's. Would be better if no, maybe I should just, hold on. Okay, there we go. Jackson's short story, right? Because it is a short story, quote, the lottery. Wow. I'm not. I should play that typing game. A small town participates, there we go, in an annual lottery in which a town member is sacrificed. Maybe. Sacrifice. All right. So I'm going to talk about now the specific words and phrases to develop that mood, right? Yes.
Oh yeah, participate.
Thank you. Is my Grammarly on? Come on, Grammarly. Jackson. So once I've introduced the author by her first and last name, I could start referring to by her last name. So Jackson's. No. No.
You are not on your high today.
Language creates and what did I say was going to be an unsettling mood? Okay. The story begins. I'm going to set up my first. I'm here with my first text evidence, clear and sunny, the fresh warmth of a full summer day. I'm going to go ahead and set up that text evidence by giving a little bit of context before it. So the story begins by describing the setting as that clear and sunny with the fresh warmth of a full summer day. All right, so the phrase fresh warmth, here's where I'm getting really specific about that phrase and its connotation. Again, it asks to explain the connotation or denotation of a specific word or phrase and then analyze how that word or phrase's meaning or usage develops that mood. So if I'm looking at that fresh warmth, this brings to mind the feeling of being wrapped in something warm and soft, similar to a blanket right out of the dryer. This creates an initial feeling or sense of this creates an initially peaceful. What was that word we used to describe the setting? Was it idyllic? Idyllic setting, scene, lulling readers into. So the point of having those two to kind of contrast each other was the mood becomes unsettling because it at first is so peaceful, right? It opens up on that bright, warm, sunny day. This creates an initially peaceful, idyllic scene, lulling readers into a false sense of security. As the story progresses, however, Jackson's word choice becomes increasingly charged with tension. The characters, as they're anticipating the lottery, and here comes my second piece of evidence, the characters, after they had selected their slips, were grinning at each other, grinned at each other, or at one another, humorlessly and nervously. And one, and I'm going to tell you what this means. One quote, held her breath while her husband, what was it, her husband went forward. So this here, and one held her breath while her husband went forward, I'm going to change the tense of that. So I have to put that in a bracket. Whenever I'm changing something to make sense within the tense or context of a sentence, if I change the text evidence from what I've quoted, I need to put whatever I changed in a bracket. So I have done that here. So the phrase, again, I'm focusing specifically on phrase, holds her breath. And again, I have to do that.
Hold her breath.
Hey, you try typing in front of 30 people. Holds her breath, and words such as humorlessly and Sharon nervously start to creep in as the characters prepare for the lottery. One character is so nervous that she even forgets to breathe. Okay, so again, having that impact on the overall mood. The reader can then imagine the unease turning into panic that must be taking over this character as she worries about what happens next. All right, as she worries about what happens next. This shift in language mirrors the growing sense of dread and anticipation leading up to the story's climactic revelation. Okay? Sharon?
Why does it sound like the book you just read us, kind of?
It sounds like the first chapter Friday book? I don't know. So, in summary, I'm going to summarize that idea, right? So in summary, I'm going to transition. In summary, Jackson's word choice in the lottery skillfully manipulates the mood by blending normalcy with horror. The initial use of comforting language sets up an expectation of normalcy, which makes the story's horrific twist all the more shocking and effective. Okay? So I've gone through my background, I've restated my question, I've answered the question, I've given some text. Now I gave you both phrases and then specific words. You don't have to have, like in that second one where I have the grinned at one another humorously and nervously and then holds her breath, you don't have to have 3 pieces of text evidence. I'm just using it to kind of show you how to break apart those things. But I'm gonna go back and I'm going to color code so I make sure I have everything in here. That will be purple. Deliberate, unsettling mood, that is going to be green. Describes the setting, clear and sunny day, and red. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to color code, make sure I have all the things that I need. Holds her breath while her husband went forward, make sure everything is good. Now, when I give you the assignment next, which I'm going to show you, one of the things in there is WQEQ, which means words in your quote and the explanation of the quote. That means as I'm highlighting my explanation blue, I should see specific red words within there to show that I am explaining the words within my quote. Okay? So I'm just kind of moving all around to do it quickly. One character is so nervous, she even forgets to breathe. Okay, blue, yay. Red. Huzzah. All right. The reader can imagine, blah, 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 shift in language. So one thing I'm going to do here, unease turning into a panic, that again is explanation, mirrors the growing sense of dread. And since my mood was, I'm going to change anticipation, growing sense of dread, and what's another word for unsettling?
Just kind of uneasy.
Ooh, thank you. Dread and uneasiness leading up to the story's good. Eeriness, that also works. Blue, summary, green. Okay. So as I'm going back and color coding, I can kind of double check that I have everything. If I don't have enough green or enough red or enough blue, I can take a look at that. The phrase fresh warmth, here we go, brings across this. All right, so connotation and denotation. Yes?
Do we have to color code?
Mm-hmm.
Color code?
Phrase fresh warmth. Yep. Color coding is an expectation. That way I know if you know what's supposed to be what. As the stories progress, so technically that would be green. Jackson's word choice becomes charged with tension. There we go. Lottery. Which makes all the more, I'm going to say shocking and unsettling because I want to make sure to reinforce that unsettling mood. All right, so as I'm looking here, as the story progresses, however, so we're going to get into this later because I don't introduce this to you right now, but when we talk about having transitions, any type of context or text lead-in, we have pink and then we underline our transitions. I'm just going to do it because that's what I do. Yes, Melon?
Why do you put the Jackson's word choice becomes increasingly charged with tension in green?
Because, hold on, let me finish this 1 second. Yeah, win. Okay. Why do I put what?
Why do you put Jackson's word choice becomes increasingly charged with tension in green?
Because as I do here, unsettling mood, I've started with introducing the fact that it's that idyllic day, but really being charged with tension is how we get that unsettling mood. So it's kind of reinforcing that idea. Okay? So I am going to put this in Schoology for you. And you are going to begin on a mood paragraph of your own. So 7th period, your stuff is in there too. It is a Google Drive assignment. So if you are not familiar with Google Drive assignments, you have to sign in. So if you go to your literary text folder in Schoology and you go to your lottery, you're going to see the lottery mood response. Now mine looks different than yours because I have the assignment progress and submissions, but yours here will say assignment, and then here will say my document. When you press on my document, it'll prompt you to sign in. Okay? So when you sign into Google, it'll then come up with like this icon in this big space here, and it will automatically create a document for you. So you don't have to copy this and share it with me. Okay? It's already shared with me in a Google Drive assignment folder.
This is Google Docs, not
Correct.
Drive.
Well, it's a Google Drive assignment, so it is in my Google Drive and it will open up via your Google Docs. Okay? So your prompt, and I've given you a specific excerpt from the lottery in which to focus on. You're going to do the same thing. Okay? I've given you the bulk of the lottery here. Okay? I've given you that, as well as an organizer. Okay? So notice the colors are in there as well. So you can write your paragraph below. Again, I'm just expecting a paragraph. I'm not expecting multi-paragraphs. I'm expecting 2 pieces of evidence. So I have in there the author's first and last name, type of story, type of text. Can you use a version of what I did? Yeah. Try to move it around so you're not just copying me. You're going to restate the prompt and answer that question, and then you're going to have your 2 pieces of evidence, your WQEQ, words in your quote, and the explanation of your quote. And technically, I should have this in red. Words in the quote, come back here. Words in the quote and the explanation of the quote. So you want to make sure you have those red in your blue. Okay? So you're going to begin this today. There is no expectation that you are done by the end of class. Okay? 7th period, same thing goes for you. I'm going to end this screen recording right now.